Yo, welcome to Music is a Day Job. I'm your host, Sean, and Music is a Day Job is brought to you by the Concert app. The Concert app is an artist accelerator app that takes artists from opener to headliners on tour and gives the gives the fan the best experience in independent live music. My bad. The topic right now is waiting on promoters. Now, first off, Concert is not a promoter. We're an artist accelerator. So know the difference, because people will be like, well, is this a promoter? No, it's not a promoter. We're an artist accelerator. Give you the opportunities. You're promoting and pushing yourself because you're booking yourself on these shows and you're going forward. Now, the first thing I'll say is waiting on promoters is the worst thing. Like, unless you want a hobby, then if you want music as a hobby, then yeah, wait on these promoters. And if you're in a city that of course doesn't have concert, you have to. But here's the thing, because we were kind of talking about it behind backstage at a show, and back in my day, before there was a concert, it was no way I was waiting on promoters, because the day you wait on promoters is the day that they control your entire career. And you never want your entire career controlled by someone else, because if you allow someone else to control your entire career, then what happens is you can never have I guess you can kind of say a lucrative career if you let somebody else dictate when you can make money. And see, this is what people don't get, because I hear people, they'll say, well, this promoter, he gives like $5 a ticket out every ticket. There is no minimum they have to hit. You know what I'm saying? Okay, look at this. Now, if this promoter allows you to do a show with them, how many times is this promoter going to book you this year? Now, and how many times is this promoter going to get you outside of your city? Does this promoter even book outside of their city? Now, all these are logistics of how you're going to have to build a career. When I was coming up, I just couldn't, I'm not waiting. So then I went ahead and put my money up on all the venues myself. So I'm sitting there like, yo, I need to book all these venues myself versus waiting on somebody else, because yeah, I'd get those once every 6 month calls like, yo, do you want to do this show and whatever like that. But if I had to know a promoter in every city, I'd be struggling, because then how could I even map out when I was going to go out and do shows? I just have to wait to randomly do shows whenever they do shows. And their main goal is to make money consistently off these shows, which they'll probably change the people who are performing on each one, so they can possibly get the best every time they go. They're not going to let you keep going, because you may go like this, up and down. You may have a great show, then a bad show, then a great show. The moment you have a bad show, the promoter ain't going to get you no more. So that's when I knew, I was like, I have to book all these shows myself, because then I can control all this. But then I'm putting up 1,000 to sometimes all the way up to $10,000 for a show, because I just have to do it myself. You see what I'm saying? So then when you bring concert into this, you're trying to build a career. So the difference is, for the artist that wants to just do the one-off show, make a little side change, whatever like that, they're not looking for a career. That's like, let me sell, like, I'm getting $3 a ticket and I'm gonna sell 30 tickets. Let me get my $90 for a little side $90, and then let me, just come outside every once in a while. What concert is let me figure out how to get myself popping in each city, and then I'm going to start booking my own tours and moving around when I need to move around and when I need to hit all the places consistently. So I can just jump on and be like, yo, when I'm working hard and I'm doing my numbers in my city, it's easy to get into the other cities. It's easy to be like, yo, I'm doing good in this city, because then that makes it easy for me to get into that city and have somebody come back and get the fan base of my fan base in my city. You see what I'm saying? So then I need to be able to do at least 4 to 8 shows in a city a year. And it's no way in any promoter's situation are they going to book you 4 to 8 times in a city. And that's what your minimum almost has to be. It's like 4. That's the minimum. Like, I'm kind of like low key retired right now. Like, I just do shows to help build the app. And then, yes, because I love it. I love music and everything like that. But I'm doing 4 shows in a city right now per city that I do. I'm doing around 4 shows per year. And I'm not like grinding like that. So then if you're grinding like that and you want this as your, you know what I'm saying, your career, that's what you got to be looking at. You got to be headlining in 4 times a year, and then you move into the next city headlining 4 times a year, and then the next city headlining 4 times a year. That's the only way you're gonna make this a day job. Like, that's the reality of this. And like, people think that doing the one-off shows with promoters, it helps. It actually hurts, because what happens is you end up like, there is no resume. There's nothing. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's very rare that you get on a show and then someone gets you to the next stop. Because what they did, it was for the win of the show, not for the win of the artist. So then when I built Concert, I'm like, hey, this has to be for the win of artists. If this kid's doing good in Colorado Springs, we got to get him to Denver. Then we got to get him to Greeley. Then we got to get him to Fort Collins. Then we got to get him to Grand Junction. Then we got to get him to Pueblo. Then we got to get him out of state. Then we got to, like, I'm doing it from the angle of how can we get more artists to be successful doing this? I have events that win, I have events that flop. But overall, I know that there's people that want to work. So I want to work, they want to work. So let's make this work, So that's the difference. That's why I'm not a promoter. I'm not doing it for the angle of, hey, this event has to be my #1 bread and butter event. No, I want to give the opportunity to these kids and then see if they can replicate it just like I replicate it. And I'm not asking anyone to do anything I can't do myself. So then when I say, hey, someone needs to at least be able to hit 30 tickets or 50 tickets, trust me, I do it. Like, so it's nothing I won't or can't do myself. So what I'm asking of someone is to do it because I understand that these numbers have to be where they need to be for venues to actually want you to keep coming back. And that's what this is all about. So, waiting on promoters is probably the worst thing because they control your career at that point. They decide when you come outside. And the reason it's controlling your career is because everyone will tell you they make their majority of their money on the road. Unless there's only another way, and that's sponsorships. But the only way you get to sponsorships is because you have so many fans on the road. So it's like if you allow somebody to control your shows, they're basically controlling when you work. So it's kind of like having a job and then there's a person who can decide when you get to come into work, and then the other days they're going to do the work. So you're just kind of like on call work. Like, that's what it's kind of like. So you got to build your consistency. You got to figure out how to build your consistency so you can have consistent shows. But once again, as I always tell people, just don't do tons of shows to do tons of shows. Do shows that you have a blueprint to why you're doing them. Like, hey, I want to do this show because I can gain more fans here. And then I'm doing this show to gain more fans here. I can do them. If I feel like I can do once a month, then yeah, go. You know what I'm saying? If I can do once every 2 to 3 months, that's what you're trying to do. And you're trying to fill that pace out so you can go like, hey, this is what's effective. This is what's effective for me. This is how much I can tolerate in general. And this is what's showing me growth. Like, this is what's making it so I can be like, yo, I'm moving up in rank. And that's the goal of this, is to figure out that versus waiting on any promoters. Yeah, some shows are going to be good that the outside promoters have for you. And of course that you can take them, and then hopefully you know what you're doing to gain fans, put some merch out there, get some stuff sold and stuff like that. But when you start when you start getting to the point where, like, for instance, we got to the point where we were getting paid for shows. So shows that were outside of what I had booked myself every once in a while made sense. If I wasn't going to oversaturate myself, or I was going to be around a different fan base and the places didn't, like, because, promoters want you to bring all your fans. So it's like, bring all your fans, and so that, which makes sense because you're supposed to have these fans. However, in my situation, once you get to the point where you're being paid and you put on, you put on your own shows, in my situation, it was kind of like, well, I can go put on my own show right now. So a lot of the shows that I would end up taking at some points were like shows that I knew were audiences that weren't mine. So then even if my fans came, I knew there was other audiences that weren't regular fans of my crew. So then it was kind of like, okay, well, let's do this Mardi Gras show, or we've done like New Year's shows where there were just like tons of like in a totally different area than we'd ever be in, so. But as I said, if you're using concert, then that's, you bring your fans, of course, and then other artists are bringing their fans at a high level too. So then you're able to always mix and mingle with different artists. So then if you're doing good, and let's say you start moving 10 to 15 tickets and you're getting to 30 and stuff like that, there's other dudes on there that are moving 30 and 50 and stuff like that. So then when you start seeing these other artists, you're always finding new people. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not going to be the same people. Because even some promoters that actually already have an installed fan base, they are bringing you the same people all the time because it's their fans. They won't come to their events. So then you're always going to get the same people all the time, versus being able to match with other artists, different sounds, maybe same sounds, and then finding new fans. Which that's what we love, is to find people's new fans, so then they can build with other artists and then cross consumers up. So once again, this Music is Day Job. I'm your host, Sean. This is brought to you by the Concert app. And now the Concert app is in tons of states right now. Get onto the app, check to see if it's in your state or your city. And then if it is, make sure you start getting on shows. If there's a conference there, make sure you go to the conference, because then we're going to talk about more ways to make music as a day job and how to use the Concert app. If it's not in your state or your city, then start telling all your friends, so we have that demand, all your musician friends, so then we have more demand for the app in the area, so that makes it easier for us to get out there, and we can get out there quicker. If anybody knows any venues or anything, definitely hit us up, because that helps us get into those areas and put on shows as soon as possible. Definitely like, comment, and subscribe. Once again, this Music is a Day Job, and I'm your host, Sean.